Hi, I'm Jordan.
And I'm Dina, and we're the hosts of The Love Pod.
The Love Pod is a reality TV podcast that recaps our favorite shows.
We also talk to the stars of the show.
You can also tune in for our reality TV news bites, spoilers, spilling the tea, and casting updates from all your favorite reality shows.
Subscribe to listen to all the things we love about reality TV. Follow us on all the major social apps at Love Pod Podcast.
Thanks for listening. We love you.
Good morning, everybody. Welcome to The Love Pod. I'm Dina. We've got Jordan behind the camera. And of course, joining us this fine morning, America's favorite couple. You guys voted in your fan superlative votes. Amy and Johnny, welcome to the show.
Awesome. Thank you so much.
Yeah, thanks for having us.
So we had a ton of fan questions. So I actually put all of my questions on the back burner, and we're going to get right into the fan AMA. And these are first coming from Reddit. Okay, so our first question comes from SLM Keller, and they want to know, were there any disagreements or conflicts that arose off camera or didn't make the edit, and how did you overcome them?
Yeah, I mean, I feel like the only other one I can think of that wasn't even that deep was that he's more of an outside guy. I'm more of a city girl. I love to go out and about, I love to go out to eat, clubs. Like I was about that lifestyle. He was more so about like hiking and like the slower life. And they would be like, do you feel like that's going to be a conflict in your marriage? And I feel like we both had the mentality that we both would even each other out.
Yeah.
I do wanted to I never really hiked like that. And I feel like with him, I felt more outdoorsy. That's why we had the glamping date night. It was a mix of us.
The horseback riding too is another little integration between both of our lives and what we actually like to do.
Exactly. And in DR, we actually did another date that wasn't shown, which was a mani-pedi date, which was more up my alley.
Favorite date by far. I became the city kind of person.
I love the pedicures are city.
It was so nice.
All right. Our next question comes from Round Ad 3850. And we'll start with you this time, Johnny. What was the defining moment for you when you realized you were in love?
So apart from the slipping out of the I love yous, that I think was probably the most defining part, because beforehand we were talking, and honestly, it could go in little stages. So we were in the pods, we started dating. It was 15 minutes for the first date with all the women. Then it was 30 minutes with 8 of them. And it kind of it gradually got longer, she dated less women. And I think around date 4 or date 5, day 5, we decided hey, we just want to see basically it's me and you. We just want to see how far we can actually make this. And if we can get to the point of being in an engaged relationship. So basically I proposed, I asked her to be my girlfriend. She said yes. And then we kept on the same conversations. We got really deep in some aspects and talked about things that were a little more difficult to talk about. And then after that, it just was a very slow burn into me realizing that hey, I'm actually in love with you. It wasn't a very definite, this was the conversation, but it's more so kind of looking back and just being wow, I really have a lot of very strong feelings for her. And regardless if we're in the pods or if we go home and just down the outside world, I want her to be in my life. And that's kind of when I realized that I was definitely in love with Amy.
That's awesome. Did you guys, was it the same for you where you went in with a certain mentality, I'll be lucky if it happens, but if not, I'm okay with it? Or what were you thinking going into it?
I'm going to be honest. I kind of was 50-50 on the sense that I felt what are the odds? It's not going to happen to me. But at the same time, I felt it could happen to me. And the reason is because I almost didn't partake in the experiment, just like Johnny. So he was a backup and I was in the process for a minute. But I mean, it was 6 months within the process to be a part of the show. And then we had already my family and I had planned out some trips.
That's right.
March, yeah. And then in April, I had a trip with my best friend to Japan. So that was all when filming was happening. And I was just there's no way. So I kind of had been fine with not doing it because there was so much fear that I had. So I was that's totally fine. I'm just not going to do it. It's not they're going to call me anyways. They call me, the trip goes to shambles, that. So there were so many complex things that were truly in the way for me that just cleared up and let me on this path. And so for that, I was like, I feel like there's a reason. Like I literally felt like I was going crazy. I felt like my gut was telling me like, you have to do this for a reason. And then he's my reason.
We do have a fan question. We have Pod Squad member Todd from Bunny Hugs and Mental Health joining us. It's an awesome podcast, and he always supports us. And he wants to know if you guys have had a fight yet.
I mean, I feel like,
So, all right.
Yeah.
So what we will say is we don't define it as fights. We definitely have disagreements.
we have disagreements.
We have conversations. We have, you know, we try to do a very good job of communicating like how we're feeling. And I know that like earlier this week, I was just like not having like a little like panic attack, but more of like an anxiety like episode, I guess is like how you're putting it. And I was like, listen, like I'm not okay right now. Like I'm freaking out. It's this, it's that, it's everything else. And Amy was like, well, is it me? Is it like what can I do? I'm like, no. Like I'm just trying to like vocalize like I am feeling like not okay right now. Like I just need to get this out, and then just like we can be done with this and kind of over like basically move past it. And Amy was like, okay, well, what can I do to help out? Like, is there anything I could do? Like, do I need to clean the house? Do I need to get out of the house? Do I need to like walk Gotti? So you give you space and just like completely resolve itself there.
Yeah.
So I don't think it's more so like fights. I think it's just like things will come up, and we just have to be like, okay, well, you are not at like your very best, like 100%, like 80 or 50 or 20 or whatever. And like, how can the other person just be there for them?
All right, I'll start with you this time, Amy.
Yeah.
Ill Explanation 5059 wants to know, what was your reason for being on the show?
I didn't want to force anything because obviously like we all came to the show for marriage. But I had the worst dating history in the past. And I found out about the show through my friends, and they were like, you're so marriage minded. You haven't had the best of luck with love. I think you should try this. I feel like this is for you. And I hadn't watched the show at the time. And so when I went into the process, I told the interviewer, I was like, no pun intended, I'm going to go into this blindly. And then he was like, you should watch to see what you're getting into. So I did. And I felt like after I watched season 1 and like the other ones, I saw so many beautiful couples come from it. And I was like, if they can have it, I feel like I could have something like that too.
All right. What about you, Johnny?
So I don't know. So as far as like being like reason for being on the show, they reached out to me via LinkedIn. So I just was like, you know what? What's the worst that can happen? Let's see what they can do during the interview process. If I get on it, great. If not, at least it's a funny story to tell that like, hey, I was almost on a reality show.
Yeah.
So I just kind of went with that mindset, at least like through the interview process. As an alternate, I didn't expect to find love. I didn't expect to be followed. It was more so just I was experiencing a lot of like the same exact patterns I had in previous like relationships, like with the girls. So I just wanted to figure out if I was doing something wrong and how to hopefully, you know, like overcome those obstacles and be just like a better like person in my dating life.
Okay, our next question, and I think I already know the answer to this, but it did come up. Was the birth control drama real or a tactic from Netflix? Be honest. And that is from Bad Bunny Girl from Reddit.
Okay, Bad Bunny Girl. We love that. No, it wasn't a tactic at all for Netflix ratings. And honestly, I wouldn't even call it drama. It was just a real life scenario that we were kind of both on polar ends based on experiences. I had never been on birth control, and he had never experienced being in a relationship with somebody who wasn't on birth control. And it was just kind of a valid conversation that we had to have, especially when we're already in an expedited process. Like we just didn't want to have kids that soon. Like took it that deep. I feel like as the audience, it's the time seems different. I feel like when a viewer watches the show, like they know that it's an expedited process, but at the same time, I feel like that's forgotten. And for us, obviously, like we had real feelings for one another. We wanted to get married, but we wanted to be very cautious and careful about, you know, what that would look like, and, you know, not letting something happen to where we did have a kid super soon. And so that was just one of the conversations that, you know, we had off camera, but then, you know, we did have it on camera again. But it wasn't as serious, you know. I feel like because it was the only thing, and like what was included was just like, you know, not us being super educated on certain things. I feel like, you know, it got taken a little bit too serious. And I feel like with Johnny, a lot of his words were kind of twisted in a sense too, by the audience, because I feel like, which in a sense is kind of valid, because us as women, I feel like we've gone through so many challenges throughout history to, you know, have self-autonomy. And I feel like, you know, it was just a little bit of ignorance that he grew, and he learned and educated himself, and he wanted to learn and educate himself. And I feel like that's celebrated. Whereas, you know, he shouldn't be shamed because it unmotivates others from learning.
Let's talk about the lake party very quickly. One of the fans from Reddit, Strict Property 6127, wants to know, was it really that dramatic, or was there a little bit of editing work in there?
So I can talk about at least my experience at the lake party.
Yes.
Because basically, so we get in there and like I'm like, me and Amy are like the first ones in there. We're like, oh my gosh, look, it's so great, it's so beautiful. Let's get a drink, let's get some food, like let's sit down, let's enjoy ourselves. And then in walks, I think it was Chelsea was the first one.
Okay.
I was like, oh, hey, Chelsea, you know, how's it going? Yada, yada, like talk to her. And it's like, cool. Then it's like, oh, I think it was like, was AD the next one?
It was AD or Laura.
Yeah, AD was the next one. I'm like, oh, cool, here's AD too. Wonder where Clay and Jimmy are. Then in walks Laura. I'm like, am I the only guy here? What exactly is going on? And then in walks Jimmy, in walks Clay, in walks Jeremy. And I'm like, okay, cool. At least now it's like not just like me and Amy are the only couples. And like there's actually still couples like around right now, which is a good thing. But then it was just like me and Clay were like, hey, you know what? We're gonna be, you know, just like the non-problematic guys, and we're just gonna get some drinks. We're going to grill some food, and that's really it. We're gonna talk to some like our buddies who came in, because I know like Vince came, Trevor came, a couple of the other girls came. So we just hung out with them. Really didn't do too much. Grilled, had a great time, got sunburnt. Like it was fantastic.
I feel like we were definitely in our bubble, as I feel like we were since the beginning. I mean, I again have really bad anxiety. So that day I was like, this is too much. Like I remember hugging Johnny and I was like, there's so much drama for me. I just can't do it. Because
we heard like the little rumors about things
we
going
heard like
on
things
with like Jimmy, and also with like Laura and Jeremy. So we kind of knew what was going to transpire at the lake day. So me and Clay were like, we're just not gonna be part of it.
Yeah, I was just like, I want to be away from it. But yeah, I feel like now, like looking back and looking at the scenes, that was like the big question, because obviously we were there, but I feel like we weren't there, because I feel like
you were in your own lake day.
Yeah, no, like if we could like stay away from the drama, like that's what we were trying to do. So I feel like after the infamous Lake Day episode finally came out, I got a lot of questions answered.
Got closure on certain.
Yeah.
Okay.
So I feel like, I mean, it was a little dramatic. I feel like there was a lot going on, for sure, but we were trying everything to stay out of that. So.
All right, now we're going to move on to one of my favorite segments, though it is hard to pick one. We are going to do our Instagram deep dive, a little blind date with you guys, because you don't know necessarily what pictures are going to pop up on this screen. They may be from Instagram. It may be a TikTok clip. We don't know. So with no further context, we are going to pull the picture or video clip up on the screen. We'll ask you to say what's going on for those who are just listening and don't have the cameras on. And then tell us the context or your feeling on seeing this throwback photo.
Okay.
All right, Jordan, whenever you're ready, we're going to start with you. Amy, ladies first.
Okay.
Ooh,
so this is one of my favorite pictures. Can I go in depth?
Go. You can do whatever you want. We're on your time. If you want to sit here for 6 hours, I will sit here for 6 hours. Jordan might kill me, but I'll do it.
So this is one of my favorite, actually, this is my #1 favorite picture of the many that we took when we were in Paris. I mean, again, I feel like I've talked about this trip so much and the symbolism behind it, but I mean, it means so much because it just shows that we were at the right place at the right time throughout all of last year, and that we were meant to go on this trip together. And so it was our big first trip together with my family. And that was just a huge bonding experience for all of us. And it just further solidified the relationship that Johnny has with my family as well. That's
what's up next, Jordan? There it is. All right, Amy, what was going through your head? This is your official cast photo shoot. I'd love someone creative to share my passions with. Do you think you found that person? And what was that like?
I did. It's so funny because I'm like, this picture, it kills me. But I obviously found my man that shares creative passions in the sense that he is always down to learn something new, and he's very creative in the way that he thinks. I feel like I have always liked guys who are musically talented. Johnny actually picked up the piano. We have the piano right here. He plays it beautifully, and I absolutely love it.
How to play it beautifully.
So if y'all see a cover soon, don't be surprised.
But not too soon. Not anytime too soon.
Because we have not practiced. But yeah, I feel like we both have just kind of like molded into each other's interests. And
that's awesome. All right. What have we got next, Miss Jordan?
Oh my God.
You just think, oh, I must be over here.
We went all the way back.
This is so funny. Yeah, this was my quinceañera, which was my first princess moment. But I'm really striking a pose there. Gotta have the hip and the arm action.
The hip hop.
But yeah, honestly, like my parents and my grandma, they went fully in with my quinceañera. I always liked like the big events and the big parties, but my grandma, she was the one that really was kind of like all about it and making sure that I had that experience, because her daughter, my aunt, she never really wanted one. So my grandma always dreamed of like throwing like a huge quinceañera, and I'm very much kind of that person that wanted it too. So it was just like, we had the time of our lives.
Now let's go to TikTok. We've got a little compilation video of how you knew Johnny was the one.
But yeah, this TikTok, essentially, I felt like our story was so unique in the sense that we almost didn't do the experiment to even begin with. And I feel like our relationship is just so magnetic, and it truly does radiate soulmate energy. Obviously, I'm biased, but I feel like we were meant to be. And there were so many reasons and confirmations and signs that I felt like I had seen throughout since the beginning, even since before the show was even a question or like a thought. I felt like there were just a lot of things that were kind of connecting to get us to where we are today. And I feel like obviously that can't really fully be shown in the show. And even in interviews, it's so long that I if I could like make a list and go about it in an interview, it would just be, that would basically be the only question that we get to. So I felt like it was only right to make a whole story time with everything and just list out all the reasons of why I feel like Johnny is my soulmate and the one for me. And it was like the time that I finally had to actually explain everything, because I do have a YouTube channel, but I haven't really like played with that much. I'm more of a TikTok girl. So I figured, why not do a long ass get ready with me and talk about all these reasons and split it up into a million parts, because it's so long, because I'm a certified yapper. So so it was just one of those things that I just felt like, to our story, there's so many things that made so much sense that I feel like a lot of people that have followed our journey would have loved to know. So.
All right. I love it. Now, Johnny, it's your turn in the hot seat. So let's start with this little throwback.
Love it.
We have some Canadian tuxedos. You've got some pigtails going on. There's a lot going on in this picture. I don't even know how to describe it for people who aren't watching.
That's also just a very quick example of some of the many personalities you'll see in the McIntyre family. So in the back, you have Cam and Maria, very loving, but very serious. You have Willie, who's the jokester, who's obviously on my shoulders, pulling my pigtails because he likes to, poke and prod at things. You have Amy, who's very caring and loving. You have Anna and then my cousin Tiffany at the very bottom, who are honestly just some of the best people ever. Like, just very funny, very friendly. And they're just very, curious to know things like this. And then me just enjoying all of it. Every single year, we try to do things. Well, honestly, not even every year. Every time we get together, we try to take a bunch of pictures because it doesn't happen too often. And this time, we want to do like a little JCPenney photo shoot.
Yeah.
And it worked out really great because it's more. It just kind of like represents like who we are. We're not the type of people who are like, okay, smile, me.
No,
it's more so like, let's have fun. Let's make it weird. Let's be quirky because we're all really quirky. And let's have a great time doing it.
All right, Miss Jordan, what have we got? Surprise, surprise. It is your cast photo. And it says, I'm very decisive. If I decide to do something, I'll do it.
My favorite things is deciding. I love to decide. Hey, that's a decision. I'll make that decision. No, I feel like, I don't know where this whole quote came from. I feel like it's a very odd quote. It's very repetitive too. But yeah, I decided that I wanted to spend the rest of my life with Amy, and I did. So I think that was a decision that I made pretty well.
All right, Gotti, how did you get Gotti? What is the story behind your relationship with him?
So sophomore year of college, I lived with 3 other guys, and I think it was like a month into like living with them, my buddy George got his first dog, and he was basically the house dog. Then my other friend Royce is like, I want a dog too. So he adopted his dog Delilah. My other friend Tyler, who was living with us, was like, well, I want to get a dog too. So he got Callie. And then when all of them were basically about to move out, because I stayed there for summer by myself and everyone else kind of went back home or took classes or went somewhere else, I was like, I've lived for the past year with 3 dogs. Now I'm living in a house by myself. This is just not okay. So I then adopted Gotti. This is like one of the first pictures I took with him when I was walking him, probably maybe like 2 or 3 months into me having him. And it was great. But it also was, I got him off Craigslist. They advertised him as a purebred red-nosed pit who should be 90 to 100 pounds. He clearly was not. I get over to the house that's like selling him, and he's extremely like, it's just a sketchy looking house. There were 2 guys who were like working on a truck who had these like just ginormous wrenches. So I was like, I might be killed here. This is not a good situation. Like, oh, here's his name was Little Man before this. So it's, oh, here's Little Man. And he's tied up to a tree. He has like ticks on him, fleas on him. And I'm like, all right, I'm just gonna take him. Like, I'm done with this. He's not doing very well here. So hopefully give him a little bit better of a life. So adopt him. He's about 3 months old. And I've had him for about 8 years now. So it's been cool.
Now, our last Instagram deep dive of today is Jordan. Now, this is kind of tiny, but this is your billboard in Times Square. So did you know that was happening? What was that like?
So we had a feeling it was going to happen, like to just promo everything. And I always talked about basically like 2 big things. Like I don't know, when this whole came out, I was like, it'd be so cool if we were on Times Square. Because I used to go there with my family because I lived in Jersey. And we used to like take the train into like Times Square. And it just was so wild. So it's like, how cool would it be if we were actually on like a billboard over there? The other thing I always wanted to do, which I don't think is going to happen anytime soon, but let's manifest it, is I've always wanted to like be on or at least go to like Saturday Night Live.
Yes.
I think it'd be so cool to go to. So we officially got 1/2 of my like 2 big things kind of checked off the list. But it was just so wild being able to be like, yeah, like I was on Times Square. Like it's kind of a big flex.
Okay. Never have I ever. Amy, we'll ask you to go first in these. Googled someone before a date.
No. I've stalked social media, but like not.
Yeah, I remember me Googling, but definitely like creeped on them on social media, try to find their Insta, or like TikTok or like Facebook or things like that.
Yeah.
Have you ever, especially since the show, Googled yourself?
Yeah.
Listen, it's so funny. We saw I like Googled myself and an article came up with like the most false things. Like it was like a biographical thing about me. And I was just like,
Amy,
where?
born in Argentina.
No, okay, it wasn't
age
like
35.
that. It wasn't like that.
35.
But it was just like, where are they pulling this from? I think the funniest part that killed me the most was that it mentioned that I own several properties and assets, and I'm just like, where are these properties?
Yeah.
I love to
And
know
assets.
because it was just so funny. But yeah, no, we love to see like what funny things we can find out.
Have you ever borrowed or stolen anything from the Love is Blind set?
I have not. I still want my journal. I haven't like even messaged them, but I feel like that's something that I would want. But I never checked.
I thought they would let you have your journals.
He got his back, but it's because I think some people asked for it.
Oh, okay.
I forgot, so it's a me thing. Yeah, I should probably text him that after this.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right, Johnny, did you take anything from set?
Not really. I don't think I really took anything that like wasn't like supposed to be like ours.
Like a pen.
No gold glasses, no
Oh, and that's
blankets.
the thing I wish so we wish we got two things.
Oh,
We never got
I
those.
got you.
We got gold goblets, and we
Mhm.
never got the Love is Wine. We
Okay.
just recently got a bottle of Love is Wine from this one place we went to
Perfect.
this past weekend, and that's the first time I actually ever tried it.
Never have I ever used someone else's toothbrush.
No, that is a hard no for me.
Yeah.
If I have, it might have been with him and on accident, but I don't think I ever have actually.
Desperate times call for desperate measures.
Oh, no.
I feel like you would be the one. Have you used my toothbrush?
Next question.
Oh, no. Amy, change your toothbrush right away.
Yes.
Never have I ever been catfished.
I haven't.
I don't think I have.
Yeah.
Yeah, I guess you might not know.
Yeah. Well, I mean, this
Okay.
is we really didn't know at all, but like in general, like in like previous dates, I don't think I have.
Yeah.
Okay. Never have I ever edited my selfies before posting them.
Oh, listen, I use filter selfies all the time on Instagram. It's already edited. But yeah, no, I'll admit that. Like, and even some of my pictures, I do edit some.
Never have I ever created a fake Instagram account to follow somebody or comment about myself.
I have not. Yeah, I have not created a fake Instagram. I have created a fake Tinder, but that's it.
Oh, what was the fake Tinder for?
She wasn't getting matches, so she created another guy to match with her.
No.
And then she could just kind of talk to herself.
No, it was to find certain things out.
Okay. Never have I ever lied during this game.
Nope.
Nope.
Okay.
People. We're
Yeah.
pretty open and honest with everything. So
Yeah.
I get that vibe.
it takes a lot to like for us to actually like lie or like say something that's like not truthful.
Yeah.
Thank you guys so much for joining us. Tell everybody what you have going on, anything you want to promote, and where to follow you.
Yeah, I mean, I feel like we have a lot of trips coming up. So
Yes.
a lot of adventures, and hopefully I can get creative and, doing a lot of, footage for that. But definitely a lot of stuff coming out for that very, very soon. So if you want to keep up with us, my handles are Amy Tiffany with 1 Y on Instagram and Amy Tiffany with 2 Ys on TikTok. And
Yeah. So just like Amy said, a lot of traveling coming up. So definitely stay tuned for that. I am Johnny __ McIntyre on Instagram and TikTok. So give me a follow. Trying to be a lot more diligent with posting and actually posting a lot more content, whether it be just kind of everyday life or like reels or like posts. So hopefully it's some entertaining stuff.
yeah.
All right. Thanks so much, guys. If you're ever in Arizona or Jordan's in Alabama, please let us know. We'd love to meet up and buy you guys a drink. And
No, we
everybody,
won't have the drink.
oh, well, we'll give you gold glasses to have the drinks in.
That's perfect.
Thanks, everybody, for watching today. You know what to do. Follow, like, subscribe, all that stuff. We'll see you next time on the Love Pod.
Yeah,
Cool.
Thank you so
Thank
much
you
for
guys for having
having
us.
us. We had the
Thank
best time.
you.
We'll see you guys.
Yeah, thank you.
Bye.
Bye.